Zhonghai City is here. I wish you all a pleasant journey, and welcome again. The reminder broadcast by the plane awakened the former UN peacekeeping special force Li Yun, who had returned to China. In fact, he did not sleep at all. Because he did not expect that even in the first-class cabin of an international plane, there would be flies buzzing in his ears. "Beauty, what's your name? Beauty, where are you waiting? Do you want me to send you? I didn't say that there is no place in Zhonghai City that my Zhong Xiao can't eat. Beauty, this is my business card, don't you look good?" With a height of 185, Li Yun slightly lowered his head and saw the business card of Zhong Xiao dressed in a suit and leather shoes. Director of Hongtian Transportation Group, Zhong Xiao. Li Yun frowned slightly. This guy looked like a dog, and looked at a lot of famous names, so what he did was so unbearable. Immediately, Li Yun turned his head to look at the beauty, and suddenly a touch of stunning color flashed in his eyes that had not fluctuated. The eyes are frosty, the autumn water is jade and bones, and the skin is beautiful and picturesque. Wearing a white dress, a black hair like a waterfall, a pair of jade-like lotus arms, a pair of crystal clear and small beautiful feet. When she stepped lightly and stepped off the plane, the entire waiting room was quiet in an instant. Only the fly called Zhong Xiao was still annoying. His squinted eyes have been lingering on this peerless fairy, wishing to hug her immediately and tear her clothes. Looking at the beauty's peerless face, Li Yun still maintained a cold expression, and did not even show a disgusting expression to Zhong Xiao next to him. As if she couldn't see him at all, talking to him would dirty her mouth. They had already left the waiting room and arrived at the bus stop outside. Xiao Zong finally couldn't help but feel angry and immediately embraced them with both hands. "Friend, isn't this a bit wrong?" At this moment, Li Yun stretched out his hand and quickly grabbed the salted pig's hand that he reached towards the ice and snow beauty. "Who are you TM? Dare to disturb me?" Zhong Xiao was furious and wanted to get rid of Li Yun. But with Li Yun's hand, how could he succeed? He just used a little force, and young Master Zhong screamed like a pig, attracting countless people's onlookers, and many aunts and grandpas repeatedly applauded. "You wanna die?" Xiao Zong's expression was savage, and the other hand slammed towards Li Yun fiercely. The fierce and vicious aura in his eyes surprised the onlookers. Li Yun disdained to fight this kind of guy. As a former special soldier, hitting this kind of guy really dirty his hands. He pushed it hard, shook it back again and again, sat on the ground, and then rolled several times like a ground gourd, really embarrassed. "You're dead, there is a way to report your name, see if I will find someone to kill you." However, young Master Zhongzheng knew that he was losing to Li Yun, so he planned to settle the accounts after autumn. "Li Yun, Musilai, the cloud of clouds." Li Yun smiled faintly, not caring about his threat. Said by Li Yun, who has been dispatched by the state and led his country's special forces to participate in the global peacekeeping police force, as he has won many special prizes and countless first prizes. Although he is now semi-retired, his status as a soldier is still there, and this time he is returning to China as a special mission. Li Yun has 1,000 ways to respond to this kind of guy. "You have been pestering this young lady, and you even have to do something about it. If I can't bear it, I will teach you a lesson. If you are not convinced, come to me and stop harassing that young lady." Li Yun's words with the military's righteousness left Zhong Xiao speechless, and even the ice and snow beauty couldn't help but look slightly. "But more importantly, if you disturbed my sleep on the plane, I saw you upset long ago, so I just took the opportunity to beat you." Li Yun's words made everyone present laugh, and Zhong Xiao almost vomited blood when so many people watched. At this moment, 5 black high-end luxury cars steadily stopped in front of the beauty who was harassed by Zhong Xiao. A few brawny men with black sunglasses rushed out of these luxury cars, quickly stepped forward and slammed young Master Zhongzheng, and slammed his head to the ground. Looking at their movements, Li Yun knew that these bodyguards had been trained, and I am afraid they were not as simple as ordinary special forces. What are you doing? Let go of me. Xiao Zong was still struggling, but these bodyguards were not as polite as Li Yun, and hit his mouth with a fist. His front teeth collapsed and blood flowed all over the floor. Miss, we are late, please forgive us. Ding, trigger the main mission, approach and try to get Murong Qingyu's attention. A lively girl in a gorgeous maid costume came out of a Rolls-Royce, and she rushed to the iceberg beauty to convict her. Looking at her expression, she showed a trace of intimacy in her apology. It was obvious that she had a very good relationship with the goddess of iceberg. When the maid came down, Li Yun received a prompt from the system. This system was obtained by accident when he was a child, and it is said to be a legacy of a super civilization. If you like the system plugin of the God Level Master, please collect it. The system plugin of the God Level Master has the fastest literary update. When he first got it, Li Yun was very excited. Because as long as this thing has points, it can be exchanged for countless incredible things, and it is even possible to live forever. At that time, Li Yun, a young man, named the system God Exchange System. He thought he could make a lot of money quickly and help his hard-working parents. But after carefully studying this system, Li Yun, who was still young at the time, directly cursed cheating. Because this thing is to be opened, a certain amount of tasks must be completed, and it must also be a task that is beneficial to mankind. Therefore, Li Yun followed the system's prompts and became a soldier for 5 years. During the period, I did get a little help from the system, improved my physique, and saved some people. In addition, this system has been sleeping all year long. It was not until a month ago that the system finally indicated that it had been officially launched, and Li Yun happened to be a little tired and confused about life in the army, so he applied for discharge. Ding, please don't doubt the function of this God-level exchange system. The host will make a lot of money one day as long as the host keeps working hard. Li Yun couldn't help but smile. It was just his wish to make a lot of money when he was a kid, but now he has been bearish, although he still likes money. Li Yun has also thoroughly studied this God-level exchange system. Simply put, it is equivalent exchange. For example, this time, Li Yun has to help the iceberg beauty by himself before the system will prompt him what kind of operation to perform in order to get the benefits. How much effort is needed to obtain from the system? Li Yun glanced at the information about the so-called main mission this time, and his eyes widened. Approach and strive to obtain Murong Qingyu's mission return rate, 10,000. The rate of return is 10,000. Li Yun's heart is fiery. What does this mean? You know, he worked hard to complete the prerequisite tasks, and the return rate in the system's evaluation is not more than 1,000. You must know that he has obtained the rank of Major General. It seems that in a systematic judgment, as long as you get involved with Murong Qingyu, get her favor, just be friends with her, you can get more than 5 years of hard work. No, that's not right. The system only prompts to get Murong Qingyu's attention, even if it is a task completed. This is too exaggerated. Just getting her attention can get such a big report? Where is this Murong Qingyu sacred? Li Yun didn't care about this conflict before, but now he wants to say to Murong Qingyu loudly, local tyrants, let's be friends. At this time, a handsome young man walked down from the car, with a joyful smile on his face, and walked directly to the iceberg beauty. He opened his hand to give her a hug, but was stopped by her cold eyes. The handsome man's open arms stopped in embarrassment, and he smiled, Qingyu, I haven't seen each other for so long, and I can't give my second brother a hug. I will come all the way to pick you up because of my second brother. Li Yun nodded secretly. It turned out that the peerless iceberg beauty was Murong Qingyu. Bing Shan Beauty didn't speak, just glanced at Zhong Xiao on the ground, and her second brother immediately understood. He waved his hand to indicate that the bodyguard could take him away, and said to him faintly, no matter who you are, offend my sister, you should not hang around in Zonghai City from now on. Young Master Zhong, who was held down, was still not convinced, and said angrily, "Who are you, TM? Do you know who I am? Hit him." There was another round of punches and kicks, and Zhong Xiao finally convinced, lying on the ground with a bruised nose and speechless face. "My name is Mirong Minjiu. Those who are not convinced can come to me. You are welcome to challenge." Mirong Minjiu, like his sister, didn't even look at the so-called Zhong Xiao from beginning to end. He, the lively and lovely maid held her young lady's white and tender lotus arm, and said triumphantly to Zhong Xiao, "Forgive you, this fellow has never heard of our Mirong family, dare to offend young lady, just wait to enter prison." However, Li Yun has not yet thought of a way to attract the attention of that peerless iceberg beauty Mirong Qingyu. Judging from the information given by the system and the situation he had just observed, this Mirong Qingyu was extremely cold. But with such a cold personality, Li Yun still had a 5-year career in the army. Without too much communication between men and women, it seemed a bit difficult to complete this task. "Do you learn from the character of the soldiers under his hand and go forward to praise her as a beauty, and I want to be friends with you?" Suddenly, Mirong Qingyu's lips moved slightly, and the lively and lovely little maid next to her nodded again and again, and walked to Li Yun and said, "You are the one who helped my lady." Li Yun has some surprises in his heart. Does she want to know the gratitude? Well, it's probably me. I couldn't get used to Zhong Xiao's behavior, so I tried to teach him a lesson. Xiao Zong was still next to him, and he gave Li Yun a fierce look. The lively and lovely maid raised her eyebrows, and yelled slightly angrily, "Li Yun, right? Is this hateful guy specifically for you to harass my eldest lady, and then you come out and pretend to be a hero to save the beauty? Arouse my lady's attention." Li Yun was stunned. What's all this? This lovely little maid's association is too rich. The cute little maid looked at his expression and suddenly said loudly, "Look, you see, I guessed it, you really are such a scumbag, bad guy. Luscious child? Bad guy?" Zhong Rare on the side was overjoyed, and immediately shouted, "Yes, yes, I was hired by him, I was wronged." Li Yun was astonished again. He didn't expect that he would not be able to save people, but was beaten up instead. If you like the system plugin of the God Level Master, please collect it. The system plugin of the God Level Master has the fastest literary update. Look, you really have bad intentions, it's all written clearly in the book. You guys like to cheat girls like this, especially Our Lady is so beautiful, and. At this time, Mirong Qingyu's second brother also looked at him with a bad expression. It is simply unforgivable to dare to attract his sister's attention with this crooked method, and to abduct his loveliest sister. Xiao Zong continued to fan the flames, pretending to be bitter, and said, "Yes, I was really wronged, I was just deceived by this person, saying that as long as I spend a little bit on this beauty, I can get 100,000 yuan. I am really wronged." Mirong Minjiu's expression became worse and worse. "Are you here to approach Qingyu on purpose? Answer me." The people around were also talking about it. "I didn't expect that there is still a master who harass beautiful women. Human face and animal heart, I can't imagine that the guy who was just in a way inspiring before is actually the main messenger behind the scenes. Frozen. Even the transaction amount is said, he must have done it." Faced with the accusations of so many people, Li Yun said calmly, "You said I instigated you, then I will ask you a few questions." Zhong Xiaoqiang calmly said, "Ask, of course I won't do that kind of thing. Therefore, I suggest that the security guard catch you first, lest you run away." The bodyguards brought by Mirong's house all looked at Li Yun in unison, slowly surrounding them one by one. Li Yun laughed, "You said that I was ill-intentioned with this Miss Qingyu, and you also asked you to act as a hero to save the beauty. Then, when did I discuss it with you? Aren't you nonsense? On the plane, when you saw this beauty is pretty, you got crooked." The lively little maid exclaimed again, "Look, you have even said the location of the conspiracy, absolutely you did it." Li Yun glanced at her. The maid was very cute. She was about 15 or 16 years old. She was 1.5 meters tall and had a small and exquisite figure. Her round face was still wearing baby fat. Her face was flushed with excitement, as if she had seen it through. His conspiracy is average. Li Yun said strangely, if I can't forget this Miss Murong Qingyu, I should have accosted her on the plane. Why should I endure getting off the plane? Zhong Xiao's face was flustered, and Li Yun said again, moreover, Miss Murong Qingyu and our first-class passengers have endured the buzzing of your fly in our ears all the way. It's impossible for me not to see it, and it's impossible for me to have the courage to strike up a conversation with Miss Murong Qingyu. After all, she can tolerate a guy like you. I can't do it without reason. Little tricks of this degree can hardly be missed by Li Yun, who has experienced countless conspiracies. Zhong Xiao's face was pale, and everyone suddenly realized that, yes, people who have no reason to miss beautiful women will not talk to her on the plane. Get up on the plane and show off your demeanor. When you get off the plane, come to a hero to save the beauty. I'm afraid that ordinary girls have fallen. The cute little maid stared at Zhong Xiao angrily. You are still going to slander others. Li Yun smiled secretly. Didn't you, the little maid, started to slander him first? The matter was irrefutable, and Zhong Xiao's expression turned into a pig liver color, and under the accusation of everyone, he began to snorting with rogue eyes closed. Murong Qingyu said something to the little maid with her lips moving slightly before everyone noticed. The little maid turned her head and said to Li Yun, Hey, you helped my lady, what kind of remuneration do you want? Before Li Yun could answer, she hurriedly said, Don't go too far. Don't pretend that my lady promises or secretly gives something away. You are not worthy, but my lady. Before the little maid had finished speaking, she was held back by Murong Qingyu. Even the cold-tempered girl couldn't stand the little maid's speechlessness. Li Yun didn't know where the little maid came from looking at the weird idea, but the proposal was actually taking care of him. Murong Minjiu said calmly, For the sake of your little help to my sister, giving you 1 million, is that enough? Can't give less, because Li Yun saved the noble Murong Qingyu. The onlookers were all amazed. Just for helping this eldest lady, 1 million can be earned. Without mentioning how everyone regretted, Li Yun was also a little surprised. He really helped a rich lady. In terms of the rate of return, it is really high and scary. No wonder the system is rated as terrifying 10,000 points. Just a small help is so scary. If it saves her life, I don't know how amazing the return is. Li Yun's heart moved, but he was quickly disappointed. The wealthy eldest lady didn't say a word during the whole process. It was obviously extremely cold. He wanted to impress the other party and attract her attention. It was too difficult, let alone become a friend. As for becoming lovers in love, it is even more impossible. If you are not short of money, then 1 million, I am poor, and if I have money, I will never refuse to come. Li Yun ignored Murong Minjiu's contemptuous look, and unceremoniously agreed to a 1 million reward. This eldest lady is too rich. Maybe she can make a fortune next time. She added, By the way, I can fight very well. You can ask me to be a bodyguard when you need it. The reward is easy to say. Now the bodyguards around are all looking bad, and the feeling one is coming to grab their jobs. Murong Qingyu's lips moved slightly, and the little maid continued, You said you are good at fighting, let's see if you can show 2 tricks. Li Yun was stunned. Here. The little maid smiled and said, Along. In. A sturdy bodyguard came out. Li Yun thought he was here to fight him, and he had already taken a ready position. Unexpectedly, the little maid stretched out her white tender hand, pointed at the black and shiny Rolls-Royce car next to her, and said triumphantly, Call me this. What? Not to mention Li Yun, everyone around was frightened by the little maid's words. Why go to play such a valuable thing as Rolls-Royce? Yes. The strong bodyguard slammed the bumper of Rolls-Royce without hesitation. Li Yun nodded his head secretly. This bodyguard should not be underestimated. I don't know which unit came from. Boom. The top-class car that could endure high-speed collisions has now been smashed into a corner with a punch by this bodyguard. Everyone was too frightened to speak, for fear that they might provoke these wealthy and powerful families. Too arrogant, these Murong family members are too arrogant. A luxury car with a value of 10 million starts, and it is smashed. No wonder the 1 million is given away without hesitation. But I have to say that it is too domineering. The young Master Zone was already shaking with fright, and now he really felt the gap between him and this group of people. If you like the system plugin of the God Level Master, please collect it. The system plugin of the God Level Master has the fastest literary update. The strong bodyguard closed his hand and glared at Li Yun provocatively, seeming to say, "Boy, you have the strength to be the lady's bodyguard." The little maid was also very proud, and smiled, "How, are you scared? Now you still want to be our eldest lady's bodyguard." Everyone also talked about it, saying that this group of bodyguards may have been trained in the family, or simply retired from the special forces. Murong Minjiao glanced up and down at Li Yun. Although he was 180 plus, his figure was thin and he didn't look like he had been trained. It's only strange to have strength. "Hey, kid, let's go with 1 million, it's not bad if you can protect yourself." Li Yun was frightened stupidly, but was only frightened by their behavior of smashing the car. He took out a piece of paper and put it in his hand, and calmly said, "I don't have a Rolls-Royce, so I will show you a magic trick." In order to attract the attention of this high-cold giant eldest lady, he also plans to go all out and show them his true ability. Magic. Everyone is wondering, is it the magic performed on TV? The little maid laughed softly again, and said, "Being a bodyguard is not a magic trick, you have to be genuine." She was lively and cute, and she smiled ruddy with a fat baby face to be even more attractive. Standing next to her peerless beauty-like eldest lady, she was not pressed down by the light of Murong Qingyu. Li Yun found that the cold iceberg beauty also turned her head slightly, apparently starting to pay attention to this side, and he started to act with satisfaction. Grab the paper and knead it into a ball, then put it in the hand and hold it firmly, and throw it toward the sky at an angle of 45 degrees. Between Li Yun's hand and the trash can, the shattered pieces of paper formed a rainbow bridge made of pieces of paper. The little maid's eyes widened, staring at the rainbow without blinking, her mouth opened in disbelief. The bodyguard named along just now also opened his eyes wide. As far as this hand grip is concerned, he has already beaten him. When Li Yun held the paper ball just now, he had already crushed it and turned it into hundreds of small pieces of paper. In terms of grip strength alone, Aaron couldn't match it, let alone his dark hand. He just threw all these light and fluttering pieces of paper into the trash can, and he couldn't match it. I'm afraid this Mr. Li Yun is already an acquired master. The crowd at the airport was attracted by this strange sight. The rainbow bridge made up of shredded paper is really a very creative magic. Wow! This magic is so beautiful. The little maid ran over happily, grabbed Li Yun's hand and looked over and over again, and asked again and again, "How did you do it? Is there any special device? Now, tell me, I am very love your magic just now." Singer. A cold and ethereal voice sounded, and everyone shuddered. This moving voice made everyone seem to stand in the cold winter, looking up at the beautiful moon in the sky. Extremely cold and extremely beautiful. Li Yun looked up and realized that it was Miss Murong Qingyu, who finally said the first sentence. It's really rare to be indifferent to this degree. Yes, miss. The maid named Singer returned to her eldest lady again with joy. Compared with the eldest lady, she was not interested in the magic just now. Singer heard the voice of Miss Lower's lips moving slightly, and turned to Aaron and said, "Go and write down the contact information of this Li Yun. If you have any task in the future, I can find him." After the two talked, they entered a BMW and stopped paying attention to this matter. However, Li Yun also heard the prompt from the system. He has attracted the attention of the iceberg beauty and successfully completed the task. Secretly thought that this Murong Qingyu was too cold. Had it not been for the system to prompt him, Li Yun would not have known that he had attracted her attention. After all, this eldest lady, don't say a word during the whole process, and didn't even give Li Yun a straight look. Although the mission was completed, it is a pity that this kind of reward-based main mission does not have any points. Instead, he helped Murong Qingyu before and got a pitiful 1 point. After all, it is only a small help, and it is normal to have only so many points. But that's not bad. Li Yun's current system points are only in his early 1000s, so the things he can exchange are really limited. And Li Yun decided to be Murong Qingyu's bodyguard. In addition to money and attracting her attention, another advantage is that he can earn points. With 3 birds with 1 stone, Li Yun was a little proud, and he was able to make such a smooth progress as soon as he returned to his hometown. It was a good start. Murong Minjiu stared at Li Yun warningly, as if she was saying don't want to beat his sister, then turned to the Zhong Xiao who was still held by the security guard and said, "Are you a director of the Hongtian group?" "Yes, yes." Xiao Zong became excited again, "I am." "It doesn't matter what you are." Murong Minjiu interrupted him, smiling, "I just think you can change your career." "What occupation?" "Beggar." Murong Minjiu laughed and walked away, leaving Zhong Xiao with a look of astonishment. "It doesn't matter if you offend Murong's family, but if you offend Murong Qingyu, he might really have to beg for a living in the future." Li Yun smiled faintly, no longer paying attention to the matter, turned around and hired a taxi, and reported his home address to the driver. He didn't tell his family in advance when he came back this time, he wanted to surprise the family. Li Yun hasn't come back for 5 years, so he only called back during the Chinese New Year. The rest of the time was closed training, or simply performed tasks outside. This time Li Yun returned to Zhonghai City and did not plan to leave. The military career is over for him. Although his old leader tried his best to stay, Li Yun still insisted on coming back. Even give up the rank of Major General. He does not hate being a soldier, and even likes to defend his home and the country and save the weak and innocent people. But life shouldn't just be life in the army. Li Yun wanted to try something else. Such as making money. It is a good thing to have money. On the one hand, you can enjoy more and better lives. On the other hand, you can also help other poor people in terms of money and material. Under the unconscious influence of the system, helping others and earning system points have become part of his life. It's just that he dare not say that he is a good person. After 4 years of fighting in the world, he doesn't know how much blood he has on his hands. Brothers. Hey, brother? Asleep, right? Li Yun came back to his senses and asked, "What's the matter?" The driver chuckled and said, "Brother, wouldn't you still be immersed in the beauty of that Miss Murong just now, right?" Li Yun smiled faintly, neither denying nor admitting. Beauty, which man doesn't like, let alone Murong Qingyu's noble and arrogant temperament, peerless beauty. But for Li Yun, although he admires beautiful women, he pays more attention to the inner humans and the communication of the soul. Of course, the beauty of people and soul is the best. Li Yun asked, "Master, listening to your tone, do you know Murong's house?" "Brother, look at what you said, I'm a small man in the market who drives a taxi and lives, and I don't know that kind of rich family." Li Yun nodded, the rich second-generation Zhong Xiao couldn't recognize Murong's family. It must be the kind of hidden giant who is not in the eyes of the public. However, the driver said triumphantly again, "Although I don't know Murong's family, I know the Murong son." "Oh. It's just that Li Yun was disappointed quickly. The driver only talked about Murong Minjiu's lace news, it was nothing more than a luxury car race, including a certain star. If you like the system plugin of the God-level master, Please collect it. The system plugin of the God level master has the fastest literary update. Hey, look at me, why don't you talk about men? The driver turned the topic back to Mirong Qingyu again, and said, Brother, see if you have practiced your skills just now. Well, that's it. Li Yun has been a special soldier for 5 years, and of course he has trained in the army. The driver said enviously, you will be the bodyguard of that peerless beauty in the future, and you may be able to have something indescribable with her. If you can catch up with her, brother, you really won't live your life in vain. Li Yun laughed. The driver thought farther than him, do you think that a wealthy family will look at a bodyguard? That's not necessarily true. In Korea, isn't there a bodyguard who married a young lady? Or the young lady divorced and married him? You said it might not be possible. That's an ordinary person, that Miss Mirong's indifferent character, don't talk about chasing her, it is extremely difficult to be friends with her. Li Yun felt it deeply. He was already a great success just by attracting her attention. The driver chuckled, obviously not believing that the cold-tempered Mirong Qingyu would be overtaken by the man. So many things happened just now, the young lady said 2 words from beginning to end, which is really cold. Miss Mirong is as beautiful as a fairy, but her personality is too cold. To me, the Pearl of Zonghai City is slightly better than her. The Pearl of Zonghai City? Pearl Tower. Li Yun wondered how the brain circuit of the driver who was able to talk about the mountains turned off to the Pearl Tower. Brother, you are not from Zonghai City. I am from Zonghai City, but I haven't returned for 5 years. Oh, no wonder. The driver did not ask where Li Yun had been in 5 years, and said, this pearl is not the other pearl. He tugged gently, and then said, our Pearl of Zonghai City is the daughter of the chairman of China Overseas Property Group, Xiao Jieu. Xiao Jieu. Yes, Xiao Jieu, Jia is excellent, Yu is beautiful. The driver dutifully explained the meaning of the name, obviously he knew the information of Xiao Jieu well. Li Yun smiled inwardly. This driver's desire for beautiful women is no less than Zhongshao. Why is it called the Pearl of Zonghai City? Is it because of its beauty? Hearing Li Yun's question, the driver was cheered up like a chicken blood. It is his greatest hobby to brag about Xiao Jieu, a peerless beauty in front of outsiders. China Overseas Real Estate Group needn't talk about it, now it has something to do with real estate, and the market value is up to 100 billion. Xiao Jieu, as the daughter of the chairman, is born with a golden key and is an absolute rich lady. Li Yun nodded. The eldest son of a wealthy family can always arouse people's yearning. This name alone can at least improve a person's appearance by 3 levels. If it's a princess, or even the eldest princess, the little princess, that's nothing to say. A long and ordinary appearance can be said to be a lovely princess. The identity is set off as a peerless beauty. Therefore, Li Yun believes that Xiao Jieu is also a peerless beauty. When the driver mentioned these wealthy eldest ladies, he was so excited, as if Xiao Jieu was his girlfriend. He flaunted and said, Xiao Jieu Primary School and Junior High School are all studied in private aristocratic schools. They came to our public Zonghai in the first year of high school. The sensational scene in City 1 Middle School was really. The gongs and drums are noisy, the firecrackers are blasting, the red flags are on display, and there is a sea of people. Ha ha ha. Li Yun was amused by the driver's words. If there is such a scene, it is really joy. Is that so exaggerated? Of course. The driver fell into the memory, and Li Yun quickly reminded, you can concentrate on driving. It's okay, I have been driving for more than 10 years, and I can take you back with my eyes closed. The driver smiled and said, although there were no gongs and drums at the time, there were definitely a lot of people. I don't know how many people are waiting at the school gate just to get a glimpse of Xiao Jieu, who is alluring the country and the city. Even her junior high school classmates have many transfers from private schools to City No. 1 high school. How exaggerated do you think this is? Li Yun doesn't believe in the nonsense of the driver. It's possible that the little kid of high school students will chase to a school. After all, he's in adolescence and he can do anything when his brain is hot. But people who go out to the society also make a special trip to see it. It's pure nonsense. The driver seemed to see Li Yun's thoughts, and hurriedly said, I didn't say the least bit of lies. I was on the scene at the time and there were so many people. Li Yun looked at him in astonishment, Are you there? Of course. The driver was still very proud. When I started, I watched Xiao Jiao walking into the school gate at least once a week. It was because I went early to get a good position. Is Xiao Jiao so attractive? Brother, tell you this, after seeing her for the first time, I must visit her once a week, otherwise I can't eat. Li Yun laughed. This driver is definitely a hungry ghost. He regards seeing beautiful women as a meal, and he must see it once a week. The driver said with emotion, That was a really good time, but unfortunately the school didn't show it to us later. I didn't want to eat or drink, so I lost at least 3 caddies. Then the driver told Li Yunjiang about Xiao Jiao's high school, how excellent the results are, and each subject is close to the top score. How proficient in piano, chess, calligraphy is, won the city, national, and even international awards. The words of praise like smallpox, straight to Xiao Jiao's praise is like Xide's reincarnation. Thanks to this loyal fan of Xiao Jiao, Li Yun also has a comprehensive understanding of her. It's a pity that Xiao Jiao went abroad to study aristocratic high school after finishing her first year of high school. At that time, many people were very sorry. Li Yun secretly said, It is a great pity for you, how could others pay attention to Xiao Jiao so much? But the driver cheered up again, Xiao Jiao will return to our Zhonghai city in September, and she is a freshman at Zhonghai University. China Overseas University, freshman. This is the school he entered 5 years ago, and it is also the university he is going to attend. At that time, Li Yun said that he wanted to go back to school, so his old leader helped him get the admission qualification of Zhonghai University, or to keep the admission qualification from 5 years ago until now. Upon hearing this, Li Yun couldn't help asking, Which department is Xiao Jiao from? The driver hurriedly smiled, Brother, you still said that you are not interested in beauties. Do you want to see Xiao Jiao, the beauty of the city, just like me? The beauty of the city is like saying that Zhonghai city has already fallen for it. Li Yun smiled, Nothing like that, I am also a freshman at China Overseas University. No? Which department are you from? Institute of Information Technology, Computer Science and Technology. Squeak. The driver was surprised that the taxi skidded a bit. Brother, play mine? Did you know that Xiao Jiao is also a computer science and technology major, so you said that on purpose? Unexpectedly, Li Yun knowed a star classmate in the same class before officially enrolling. No. Brother, my happy life in the future depends on you. If you like the system plugin of the God Level Master, please collect it. The system plugin of the God Level Master has the fastest literary update. After getting off the bus, the driver resolutely refused to collect any money, and resolutely wanted to add Li Yun's WeChat QQ, but Li Yun did not have it, so he could only step back and add Li Yun's mobile phone. The driver named Xietahai said that when Li Yun gets Xiao Jiao's photos in the future, he must send him a few photos. Li Yun shook his head and smiled. When he was about to drive away, he threw him 100 yuan from the car window, waved at him and said, If I have a picture of her, let me talk about it. I really don't know what kind of peerless beauty Xiao Jiao is. He actually fascinated a passerby driver like this. Li Yun didn't care about Xietahai, and walked towards the small restaurant opened at home. The family's small restaurant has been in operation for more than 20 years. Before that, it was always the source of life and school expenses for Li Yun and his twin sisters. Until he went to serve as a soldier and sent back the bonus he received, the family's financial situation was good. Come. I learned from the last phone call that there was still a small restaurant at home, and my parents said nothing that they would take a rest. So Li Yun walked straight to the store. According to previous experience, his parents must still be busy in the store. Feeling timid about hometown, Li Yun walked slower and slower, and couldn't help but remember when he left. 5 years ago, his sisters Li Keiwei and Li Kexia, and the twin sisters were only 9 years old. They both cried and shouted not to let Li Yun go out to serve as soldiers. The 3 brothers and sisters have a very good relationship. Because the small restaurant at home is too busy, he was also taking his 2 younger sisters when he was young. In a small restaurant, to feed 3 children, Li Yun's parents can only work as hard as they can. I get up at 4 or 5 in the morning and prepare to sell breakfast. In the evening, I have to open until more than 10 o'clock. There is almost no rest time in between. However, Li Yun couldn't bear to see the hard work of his parents, and when he graduated from high school at the age of 16, he still decided to follow the system's advice to become a soldier. This is why Li Yun did not reject Murong Minjiahu's money. 1 million is not worth mentioning for the rich, but for ordinary people, it is money that can only be made by hard work for decades. Boss, boss, come out for me. Li Yun heard an arrogant shout from a distance, and there seemed to be a dispute in front of him, and the neighbors around him also gathered to watch the excitement. Here is. Li Yun took a closer look. Although there are some changes in the surrounding buildings, isn't it his small restaurant where the crowds are watching? The restaurant's signs have not been changed. Kuyu fast food restaurant. Guo is his father, Li Qiaozu. Xiu is her mother, Zhou Yuxiu. Li Yun stood silently outside the crowd watching, to see who dared to come to his house to make trouble. Zhou Yuxiu walked out of the shop and looked at this young man with colorful hair and a fierce face, and asked nervously, "I'm the boss, what can you do? What's the matter?" Humph. Obviously the little who came to look for things said something weirdly, pointing to the plate he had just eaten, and cursing, "What the are you asking? Look at the food in your store, what the is it like?" Everyone saw that there was a huge cockroach in the plate. The yellow cockroach shell and long tentacles, just lying in the rice dish, have caused the human body's instinctive nausea. Several people at the neighboring table stood up abruptly, all of them looked at Zhou Yuxiu with unkind expressions, and a bald man threatened, "Boss, there are cockroaches on A-Fei's plate, I'm afraid we won't have fewer plates, you tell me, what should I do now? If you like the system plugin of the God Level Master, please collect it, the system plugin of the God Level Master has the fastest literary update." Li Yun understood, this group of people came to find fault on purpose. Zhou Yuxiu's face was pale and her fingers trembled and could not speak. The surrounding neighborhoods also talked about it. "I'm afraid this is difficult." A passerby said disdainfully, "Hey, the Black Heart restaurant deserves to be beaten. What do you know? Who hasn't troubled them in this street? These guys are social." A neighbor lowered his voice and said, "Now many shops here have been blackmailed, and today it is the turn of Qiaoxiu fast food restaurant. The people around are daring to be angry and dare not to speak. These guys will not blatantly blackmail you, but they will continue to harass and report to the police and fail to meet the detention standards. They can only watch and make them do evil." Li Qiaozu came out of the shot, wiped his hands on the scarf, and said politely to A-Fei, "This guest, our restaurant has been open for 20 years, and I have never heard of cockroaches." Boom! The little named A-Fei slapped the table fiercely, and everyone around was terrified. This group is getting more and more excessive. When Li Yun saw the twin sisters in the house, Li Keiwei had been frightened and hugged her sister tightly. She had always been timid and shy. She was even more afraid of being threatened by these gangsters. Li Yun was about to go out, but saw Li Kexia with his eyes, but couldn't help but stop. This little girl with colorful hair is really his sister Li Kexia? A-Fei yelled at Li Qiaozu, "No cockroaches? Are you blind? Open your dog's eyes and see. Li Qiaozu's temper also came up, and he defended loudly, when I was cooking, my eyes were not blind, and the eyes of the child and his mother were not blind. Wouldn't I see this cockroach? And you didn't see the cockroach until you finished eating, and the eyes were also too bad, right? A Fei's face darkened. Are you saying that I am blind? You want to die? He said that he was about to do it. Li Kexia hurriedly walked out and stopped him, saying with some fear, Fei, today is our fault, I apologize to you. Seeing Li Kexia, the bald man's eyes lit up. The 14-year-old girl has grown up, with a slightly childish face, black eyebrows and big eyes bright and clear. The straight bridge of the nose, the delicate fuchsia small mouth and the smooth fragrant cheeks make people want to hug her and take a bite. She is just wearing an ordinary t-shirt denim, showing her adolescent girl figure exquisitely. Tightly wrapped in close-fitting jeans, although it is still small, it has shown tight and soft buttocks with a beautiful shape, showing the vitality and beauty of adolescent girls. She stared at Li Kexia with her bald head squinted, but she saw Li Kewei who was hiding in the kitchen because of fear, except for her hair, who was exactly the same sweet as her sister. Twins. The bald head looked stunned, and the two identical girls gave him a great shock. He couldn't help but an evil fire appeared in his heart. If he could get the twin sisters, then his trip would not be in vain. No, this life is worth it. The bald-headed squinted eyes gave Li Kexia a bitter chill. She said calmly, bald-headed brother, good. Bald's face sank, pretending to be annoyed, what kind of bald? Call me Scar. There is a scar on his face that crosses the entire face, and it looks very vicious. If you like the system plugin of the God Level Master, please collect it. The system plugin of the God Level Master has the fastest literary update. Li Kexia's face flushed, she looked like she was about to cry. She originally wanted to dye her hair like this to get close to these people, but she didn't expect that when she really faced these guys, she would show her true shape in a few strokes. After all, she still hadn't walked out of the school gate. The little girl who was still in the second year of the junior high school met this kind of social youth and her momentum was suppressed. Scar brother. Boom. The bald Scar slapped the table fiercely, and cursed, what Mina? Are you obedient? Isn't Mina just a parrot? People around want to laugh but dare not laugh. Zhou Xiuying stepped forward to protect her daughter, and whispered, the child is not sensible, so please forgive her. The bald Scar cursed, children? I think the body has grown very well, so I don't want you to lose money, just you. He pointed to Li Kexia, then pointed to Li Kewei in the kitchen, and said greedily, as long as your two sisters accompany us to have a good time, from now on your restaurant will be covered by our Azure Dragon gang. Vision. Li Kexia poked her head out from behind her mother and cursed softly, you ugly monster, also want our sisters to accompany you? The beauty you want? Li Yun thought that her personality was similar to that of 5 years ago. She was so energetic. Compared with her sister's shy and introverted character, she was a little more like her sister. Li Kexia's voice is crisp and sweet. This kind of lowly voice, even if it is cursing, makes people who hear it cannot help but feel refreshed. The bald-headed knife Scar evil fire became more and more vigorous. If her delicate voice was made at that time, I wonder what kind of happy feeling the man next to her would feel. He suppressed his anger and said gloomily, our brothers encountered such a thing today. Not only do I want your twins and sisters to accompany me, but I also want you to compensate us for 3,000 mental losses, otherwise. Hearing this sound, Li Kexia's eyes widened, as if she couldn't believe it, she reached out her hand to cover her small mouth, and stared blankly at Li Yun who walked out of the crowd. Her parents are also excited, their son is back. Li Yun had to reach out and hug Li Kexia who pounced into his arms, and the tremendous strength made him almost fall to the ground. Who are you? Dare to take care of our Azure Dragon Gang's nostalgia. A Fei stood up angrily. The twin sister Li Keiwei in the kitchen also walked out excitedly, standing beside Li Yun with a blushing face, looking at her sister with a tangled face. She wanted to hug her brother but didn't dare. Me. Li Keixia didn't turn her head. She had already noticed that her sister behind her had become anxious and restless. She got up and grabbed her sister, pushed her into Li Yun's arms, and said with a smile, "Sister, hug, the person you missed has returned, and if you don't hold you will soon cry." Li Keiwei snorted, her face increasingly shy, but she still hugged her brother tightly. Li Yun's mother wiped away tears of excitement. "It's fine to come back, and it's fine to come back." Seeing the two little beauties rushing to hug the tall and handsome young man, bald and scarred fiercely shouted, "Boy, you are impatient with life, you dare to touch Lao Tzu's woman. Who is yours?" Li Keixia grabbed her elder brother's shoulder, provocatively spit out her cute little tongue, and rubbed her head against her elder brother. "Don't talk nonsense, you ugly guy. Even if our two sisters want to accompany a man, they are also with him. If you like the system plugin of the God Level Master, please collect it. The system plugin of the God Level Master has the fastest literary update." "What?" The bald-headed Scar became more and more angry. "This kid is so popular with the twin little beauty, it." Li Yun reached out and knocked her head. "Sister, don't be fooling around, what's wrong with your hair? I'll settle the account with you later." "Woo, yes, brother." Her delicate voice made the bald Scars react, and she said in a negative test, "So your kid is my eldest brother-in-law, let's not talk nonsense, how can you solve this matter?" Li Yun pushed away Li Keiwei, who was blushing, but still reluctant to part with him. "Sister, take care of your sister. It stands to reason that the older sister takes care of her younger sister, but Li Keiwei is really too shy and introverted, so she has always been outside taking care of her older sister." Turning his head and faintly said to the bald Scar, "What are you talking about? Your grandmother?" The bald Scar pointed at the cockroach on the dinner plate, and cursed angrily, "What's the matter with this cockroach? Tell you, your shop doesn't give me an explanation today. To get back a rationale." Stopping his father who still wanted to talk, Li Yun smiled and stared at A Fei and said, "Oh, that's it. You said that there are cockroaches in my restaurant. Why didn't you answer my father's question before? Why did you find this after eating? A cockroach? Hey!" A Fei raised his head, with a disdainful tone of argument, looked at Li Yun with his nose, and said contemptuously, "I only found out that there are cockroaches in your dish after eating. Why?" Li Yun clenched the fist of his right hand, tried to suppress the fire, pointed the cockroach with his left finger, forced a smiley face, and asked, "I'm very surprised, if this cockroach is in your food, why is it still raw? And you haven't seen any oil on your body?" The crowd onlookers probed their heads, and indeed there was no oil stain on the cockroach's wings. Li Yun calmed down and said, "This can only explain one thing, that is, this cockroach was secretly put in after you finished eating. Yes, yes. It must be so. No one will eat dishes with cockroaches. I'm afraid these people are here for extortion." The words of the neighbors in the neighborhood made this group of gangsters look hard to look. They turned their heads and glared, and shouted, "Who dares to talk any more? I'm here to blackmail, who has an opinion?" The crowd calmed down, for fear of angering this group of fierce spirits. Some of the cowardly were about to slip away. A Fei cursed, "Boy, it seems you are toasting and not eating fine wine, I'm CAO. Snapped. Li Yun slapped A Fei's right cheek directly with a slap in the face, and even slapped him into the air with great force. Boom! The additional fist hit again and hit the spinning A Fei's left eye fiercely and accurately. Boom! A Fei flew out and knocked down a row of tables and chairs. The leftovers and soup poured him thoroughly. He fell to the ground for a long time and couldn't get up. The power of these two blows was too great. Ignoring the widened eyes of these gangsters, Li Yun shook his numb hands and said in a cold voice, "You are shameless if you give you a face. Since you are blind and can't see cockroaches, then I will hit you more eyes. A few punches." The bald Scar was taken aback. They were always the only ones who bullied others, and no one could ever bully them. "You wanna die? Okay." Seeing Li Yun's indifferent gaze cast on him, the bald-headed and knife Scar look frightened. What kind of look is this? The intense killing intent and the boundless cold caused everyone present to step back in fear. The bald Scar can almost conclude that this guy has definitely killed people, and it is not a minority. If you like the system plugin of the God Level Master, please collect it. The system plugin of the God Level Master has the fastest literary update. Li Keiwei originally hid behind her sister to watch Li Yun, but after seeing such a brother, she retracted in fear. Her brother became so indifferent when protecting their sisters just like when they were young. Li Keiwei didn't want to see such a brother, but he liked his brother to protect them, and again looked at her brother's mighty and handsome figure. "Boy, wait, you are dead, our Azure Dragon gang will not let you go." Bald Scar saw Li Yun's fierce and mighty attack and momentum just now, and threw a ruthless word in his heart, and he was about to take a Fei away. And many more. Li Yun pointed to the embarrassed shop, "You come as you want, leave as you want? When am I here?" Scar was taken aback, "What do you want?" 3,000 per person, kneel down and kowtow to apologize. "You still want Lao Tzu's money? Looking for death?" The bald Scar was irritated, and he picked up the wine bottle on the table next to him and rushed over to hit Li Yun on the head. "Brother!" Sisters Li Keiwei and Li Keixia both exclaimed. "If the bottle is full, I am afraid it will be beaten into a concussion immediately." Li Yun did not evade, took a step forward and punched the bottle. Boom! The hard wine bottle was like hitting steel, and it exploded and shattered as soon as it hit Li Yun's fist. The onlookers all took a breath, and this boy Li is even stronger. It is worthy of returning as a soldier for 5 years. The bald Scar was shocked. He wanted to go back and ask someone to join him, but Li Yun chased him up again. Turning around, he kicked the sturdy Scar, and kicked it directly. Li Yun doesn't move. When he moves, his whole body is like an overwhelming momentum. You must defeat the enemy before he will give up. If it were on the battlefield, this group of people had all been killed by Li Yun's 3x2. The bald knife Scar flew out with a scream, and hit the group of younger brothers behind him. 7 or 8 people couldn't hold Li Yun's strength, and they were all hit by the flying knife Scars to the ground. "Brother is so handsome!" Li Keixia exclaimed excitedly, and then called out again, "My brother is so handsome!" She added grinningly, "I called for my shy sister." Li Keiwei's face was blushing with shame, but she didn't say anything against her sister. She tightly grasped the clothes behind her sister and looked at Li Yun longingly. "Brother, he is still so good. Li Xiaozi's skill and combat power, I'm afraid it's not a special soldier, right? I don't know which army he served in, so let my boy join the army another day." Yes, Li Yun was so handsome just now. The neighborhoods all recognized Li Yun, the demon king who had brought 2 younger sisters to the neighborhood, who bullied the twin sisters and cried for his father and mother, is back. A group of bald Scars struggled to get up. After they ran outside, Scars threw a vicious word to Li Yun, "Boy, you can fight very well, but our Qinglong gang has better fights. You wait. Look." Neighbors in the neighborhood were afraid to look at the bald Scars again, for fear that the people of the Azure Dragon gang would trouble them. Li Yun smiled faintly. Could these so-called evil forces be stronger than the mercenaries in warden places in the world? Or more brutal than those drug dealers? Flew a kick at the cockroach on the ground, pop. The cockroach that A Fei took out just now hit Scar's face fiercely. The cockroach's body was blown apart by Li Yun's dark energy, and the viscera of various cockroaches was smeared with Scar's face. If you like the system plugin of the God Level Master, please collect it. the system plugin of the God Level Master has the fastest literary update.